Okay, here I am with my Roly LaserMATIC. I kind of put it out on some benches so that it'd be easier to see. So this is kind of a more detailed review. I'm going to be doing tons and tons of testing on this LaserMATIC. I absolutely love it, but I want to go over everything that I like and everything that I don't like in this episode. So this is an all-in-one. I mean, it has the case, you have your air, which is integrated, you can turn it on and off in light burn. You got the honeycomb bed. I'm going to go over all this stuff, but you know, it's an all-in-one machine. You pretty much just, take off the packing stuff, plug it in, put your light burn on and get going. It's just, we're being spoiled, by the way. I mean, it was just a year ago, you had to kind of build your entire machine, and now almost all of them are coming pretty much put together. But what I was impressed with is that it comes with some screws that hold everything together. And if I've seen problems in shipping and stuff, it's usually when perhaps your module area or the gantry is moving around, but they've got that all figured out. Super nicely packed. But this video is actually just an in-depth of what this machine has, what I like, what I don't like. So let's just go down the list. As I said, it's all in one. Your air does work in light burn. It has an enclosure. It has a honeycomb bed. It's just, it's pretty much ready to go. The only thing, it even comes with a fan. You're going to see I have the fan out of this one because I have my own air. And so I didn't want to be, my air is more powerful. And I didn't want to be sucking the fan, basically. So, what's interesting about the LaserMATIC, you could actually, I think it's $40. I'll put it up on the screen. You could actually move this to the side if you want. So I'm probably going to get that. I think it's a little easier in my particular situation to have it vent out the side. I really like that Roly Automation has allowed for that. This video is probably going to jump around, but I am going to cover pretty much everything. I've got it written down. First thing I want to mention is just build quality. I mean, take a look at this. I mean, you can see for yourself. It is just fantastic. This is not just like some simple enclosure made out of acrylic. I mean, this, and I have seen the other ones, and they're not bad. But I mean, take a look at all of the detail going on. They didn't just take a couple of pieces of acrylic, stick it together, and call it a day. I mean, there's a lot going on here. It just works really, really well. As you can see, you've got some pass-throughs here that you can take on or off. So you've got pass-through in the front, and then you've got pass-through in the rear here. Now, of course, for venting, you're not going to want that all the time, so they've allowed that you can remove it. Here's your integrated air, and here's where the power goes. And this is a wire for the camera here, which is above here. That is super attached. Now, I've done review on laser cameras before, and they're great. I really, really like having a camera in my laser. The major issue you have with third-party cameras is that they're not, on the case. They're not stable. So when you if you move it just a little bit, then you're going to have to recalibrate it all the time. So this one being just there, it's integrated, it's ready to go, is so much more helpful. There are some negatives to this camera, I guess one, but I will talk about that. And if you see some marks and stuff and some dirt, I've been using this thing quite a bit. So I will be going over the testing and stuff in a different video, but this one I'm going to go over all of the features, and you're definitely going to want to see all of this, especially if you're thinking about getting one. So one of the things that I really, really love is this fixed honeycomb bed. This is absolutely incredible. Now, at first glance, you might think, well, that's not such a big deal. It's totally a big deal. Not only does it never move, it stays exactly in the same position. So it actually is, the coordinates on here always stay the same. And they are integrated with Lightburn, so you can literally pick where you want to be in Lightburn and it will be right there. How many lasers do that? I have never seen one, and it is absolutely a game changer. Not only that, there's nothing underneath this honeycomb bed. So you're actually not getting any flashback. See, normally with the honeycomb bed, underneath it, you're going to have a piece of metal. And that's to keep it from burning whatever's below. But often that will reflect back onto your project and it will leave some marks. But with this, there's nothing below it. So everything is just so clean on the backside compared to the other lasers that I have shown. So I just think that's really, really amazing. I don't know if they did that on purpose, but I guess it's also everything just falls below, so you can clean it up so much easier. There is so much thought that went into making this laser. It really makes me happy as somebody who reviews lasers to have a company that actually is listening and trying and doing their best and innovating, and it really is just so nice. So literally, I could have any laser I want. I chose this as being my personal laser that I use. Now, that's because of that, I know what the negatives are for this, and I'm going to go over them. But I'm still super, super hyped because this thing is just so badass. And it's like a piece of art. So the first time one of the things I like to say is the first time I plugged this in, it worked perfectly. I didn't have to do any adjustments. I didn't have to do anything. Now, that's no guarantee that you won't. It does have belts. I mean, you may have to adjust those. I don't know. But for me and from what I've heard, everybody's having a real good time right out of the box. You can see it has linear rails, so it's extremely precise on both axes. So no wheels here. I was able to integrate it right away with Lightburn. Now, I'm pretty sure Rich, Louisiana Hobby Guy, made the settings for the Lightburn. It has a file already into your computer, and it will automatically, you find that in Lightburn. And so the way that it's set up, it's already brilliant. And I think this is the only one. I guess there's some other lasers that do it, but they probably weren't tuned by Rich because it just does everything. It's already showing a spot where the laser goes, or where, when you do an outline, you can actually see the laser, which is something I usually do after. And then this goes back out of your way after you do every job, and that's something that I know Rich loves to do. So that's why I was thinking it must have been Rich. But whoever did the file, it's just perfect. I mean, it does so many things, and I'm going to go on and on about it, gushing. And if you've watched my other videos, I'm generally not gushing about any laser. I think maybe one or two lasers I've ever had have just given me so much joy to just look at the details and the things, the little things that they've done that make your life so much easier as a laser creator. Look at the cable management. There practically is none. You can't really see anything. And just one little detail that I never even mention in videos because I've never seen it done, and I just think that it's so important. You see just this little cable, right? Every time that you clean this, you're going to have to take this off, right? So usually there's just a regular old little cable, kind of like this one if you can see it. And you're going to take that on and off 100 times. What do you think is going to happen? Eventually, that cable is going to break. So, look, they made this one. So much easier to take on and off that it's hard to do with one hand, that you are probably not going to break it. It has a place for your finger. The little things, right? And while we're here, let's take a look at the focus gauge. Now, okay, here's something that I would change. I was going to do any negatives at the end, but I'll go ahead and talk about this now. It's really hard to see in certain lights and with my old eyes of what this is. I mean, once you know what it is, it doesn't matter. But this is just the focus gauge, and it tells you, okay, if it's 3 millimeters or below, if it's 3 millimeters or it's larger, or 6 millimeters, or if it's larger. And that's where you're going to put this to do your focus. So you unlock it, and then you run the focus down until it hits, and then you tighten it up, and you're done. So many lasers are doing that these days. I mean, it's a really great way to go. Some have the little kickstand, right, that just flips down. And I think Roly on purpose did not go with that way, and I agree with them. The thing is if you have something that flips down on the side, and you're making something really small, or, you know, there's a lot of situations where it just doesn't work. Also, you're not going to get your 3 levels on it. So as much as that is more convenient in a lot of ways, I think that it also doesn't work in many situations. But you can see here the air hose, super integrated, super easy. It's not going to get tangled up. I never think about these cables. You know, there's so many lasers that I have that you have to think about, okay, is the cables in the right spot? Is everything going to not hit? You don't even have to think about that with this machine. The cables are just something that's not even in your brain, other than the ones that are coming out of the side. Now let's talk about the power. You know, unless you're doing 1/2 inch, which I would suggest a 50-watt laser, you know, 30 watts is going to do everything you want to do. It cuts really, really well. I'll try to show some of that here in this video, but I have had no issues making any of my projects. And for me, that's what's most important. I think you guys have seen over time what my projects are. I generally like to work in 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch hardwood plywood. So like maples and walnuts and whatnot. And this does them all just flawlessly. So that's what matters to me, because I do this for a business. I mean, a lot of people that do reviews, you will see a laser and they will show you how it works, and then you will never see it again, or you may see it 3 times. But I'm not saying that those channels aren't honest. I'm just saying I actually use the machines, like for work, for business, for making things for my family, for making things for friends. This is something that I do every day. And maybe when you watch a channel, you want to see, okay, like which machine did they choose to use for their personal machine? And like, you know, hey, I bring up Clack Shack and whatnot because he's actually making production. And that's the kind of reviews that I look for personally. But enough about that. Let's get back into this machine. As you can see, this isn't the same type of module that you're going to see on other lasers. So this comes right off, okay? Easy to clean. And that's one things I had with my last production machine, which I absolutely loved, but it was super hard to get the bottom of this module on and off for me to be able to clean it. And you need to be able to clean it. These things will get dirty, and you get your lens dirty or whatever, your lens cover. And if you don't take care of that, in the end, you're going to have real problems. You know, it's going to actually, there's a real lens in here, and then there's a lens cover. And it's okay if you destroy that lens cover, but all of a sudden it's not going to cut very well, and you're going to have to replace it. So if you could just keep it clean, it's going to work for a long time. Now you see here there's a 30 watt to 10 watt. I have never actually used this before. I am going to do testing so that you can see whether the 10 watt and the 30 watt makes any difference whatsoever. They do say the spot size is quite different. between the two, so we're going to test that out. I'm not somebody who does a ton of engraving, and the engraving that I do, 30 watt is looking absolutely perfect, so I've never even thought of needing to switch it, because then you're going to have to switch your power settings, right? So I just leave it. But again, like I said, for you guys, I'm going to test it. One of the other things I wanted to mention is the drag chain. We're talking about cable management. One of those things you're never ever going to even notice. I didn't even realize it had a drag chain until I read it, because you just don't notice it. The cables are just not an issue. And that's what I want to go into next, is customer service. Again, the last laser that I had for production, one of the reasons why I wanted to move on to the Roly LaserMATIC is customer service. You know, the company just quit doing customer service for whatever reason. And Roly just has the best customer service there is. And, you know, I have written back and forth to the actual owner, which I don't think I've ever done for any company, and literally is taking notes on the things that we say. And that's fantastic. I mean, we're talking about people, the users. And you can go on Facebook and join the group and see what everybody's talking about. Now, the bottom panel, if you take this up, I don't even know if you can see down there. There is a bottom panel down there that is removable. So if you wanted to, raise this up and do deeper things, that can be done. I'm not somebody who uses that sort of thing, but it is there if you want it. And another great reason to have it, and I'm not sure how this is going to be integrated, but I know that they are working on a conveyor belt so that you could do longer projects. So you're not just going to be stuck with this area, even though this has been more than fine for me. I know some other people work on larger projects, and I know they're coming out with an XL version, but you got to remember, if you're not going to use that, remember I had the extended on one of my other lasers, and I literally used it one time for one project. That was it. So it really was just adding a ton of space that I needed for the laser for actually one project. But if you are somebody who you're going to be doing bigger projects, they are coming out with something for that. Just remember, you're going to have the space to put that. You see how big this is as it is already. Any laser, once you get the case, the enclosure on it, and with all of the extra stuff, it is going to take up some space. So you got to think about that. This bed size is 410 by 390. Which is pretty much the standard size, and I think it's standard for a reason. It really does take care of most things you're going to do. And again, you can use the pass-throughs if you want to put in some bigger wood. Okay, the time you've all been waiting for. What are the things about this laser that I don't like? And many who watch this channel are going to know the first thing that I'm going to say is, have you said it already? This fan. Okay. Not only, this fan is not nearly as bad as some of the other brands as far as like just harsh sound, but it's also not the quietest of all the lasers either. So it is a bit irritating, especially if you have the lid up, it is noticeable. If you put the lid down, it is about half as quiet. I'd say about 50% quieter, but you can still hear it, and it doesn't shut off. Now, that is something that pretty much all of the newer lasers are starting to come with. When you're not using the laser, you're finished with the job, it may cool down for a minute, and then the fan will go off, and you won't have that in the background, right? Because I like to, I'm working for my computer, and I don't want that constant sound of a fan. And so that is one thing that I find pretty irritating. Now, for some people, they're not going to matter. It's just a pet peeve of mine. Did that keep me from using the Roly as my personal machine? It did not, but I would say for a lot of other ones that I've tested, the fan was just so obnoxious that there's no way that I could have, even with absolutely fantastic lasers. If the fan sound is just that where that just irritates your ear, it's just a no-go for me. So this wasn't that bad, but again, it does stay on, which I know they're working on changing, but that's going to take a lot. So I wasn't willing to wait. I need to do work now. So I would say that's the only other negative that I can really bring up so far is that, yeah, you can't do the bigger projects. It's, you know, it's stuck to that basic 400 by 400, which is, you know, the average laser these days. And again, it works for most every project, but sometimes you do have bigger projects. I'm guessing the XL is going to cost more money, so you got to think about that. It's going to take up more space. I would say about the fan in the back, I know that they moved it to the 4-inch fan, so it is better. So I imagine it's going to work just fine. I unfortunately did not ever test that because I have my own air and it's all integrated into my house. So there was no way that I was using anything else. But yeah, I just wanted to plop this on the workbench, kind of go over all the stuff with my new Osmo Pocket 3 here. In 4K, and yeah, just go over this with you. I know you're probably very interested in seeing how this works in action. That's going to be the next few videos. This is just kind of my review of what I like, what I don't like, and to show you all of these different features, which I know I'm probably missing a ton. I mean, there's Wi-Fi, which I never use on lasers. Not just because they never work like, you know, they say. The other is that, you know, over Wi-Fi sending data, I'm not willing to take a chance. I just really don't want any connection issues or any problems and that I can avoid. I want it to be as foolproof as possible working and not messing up. You know, I use expensive wood. I don't even want to mess with that. But that is something that it does have is the Wi-Fi capability. There are other features that I have not gone over that I would love to, you know, that I may be missing. Please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you want to see. But hey, I have nothing other than the fan. I have nothing but great things to say about this laser. I truly enjoy it, and I truly plan on being this my personal laser for a long time. And so I'm going to put it through its paces, and I'm going to just make, you know, thousands and thousands of dollars worth of things on this machine. So I will be able to tell you every little thing about what goes right, what doesn't go right. There is a link below, of course, for the LaserMATIC. And thank you, Leo, for sending me this machine. It is just a work of art. And I will see you all in the next one. Love y'all.